Hello, everyone. I'm Tom McKenzie, Assistant Director of Admission for the MD program here at Case Western, and we are so excited to meet you for your interview day coming up. Congratulations on making it to the interview stage of the process, and we hope this video, along with others, will give you some good insight into the curriculum as you prepare for your day with us. This video is primarily going to cover years 3 and 4 of the curriculum. So we'll talk about a few other things too, but this will primarily cover years 3 and 4. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, so diving into years 3 and 4. Whenever I get the question, what's the most unique thing about Case, or why should students attend Case Western? I always think about what I want to say, but in the end, I always really come back to our teaching hospitals. We are so fortunate in Cleveland to have 4 very different hospitals that are all ideal places where students can train. Cleveland is truly a hidden gem with healthcare and a prime healthcare hub to study medicine, have exposure to dozens upon dozens of specialties, and see a very diverse patient population at 4 very different hospitals. Cleveland Clinic, first off, has university hospitals. And university hospitals, I think, is the 5th largest employer in the state of Ohio. It has Rainbow Babies and Children's Hospital. Cleveland is maybe a little more in the unique sense that we don't have a standalone children's hospital. Rainbow Babies and Children's Hospital is affiliated with the UH University Hospitals healthcare system. So 700 beds on the main campus. Many of our teaching faculty train and have trained and worked within the university hospital system. And they have satellite campuses throughout the region. The main campus is about 5 blocks from our building in the health education campus, and it is right in the heart of Case's main campus. So very walkable and very accessible. We also have the Cleveland Clinic, which is also the largest employer in the state of Ohio. And Cleveland Clinic has satellite campuses in Toronto, in Las Vegas, in South Florida, and London as well, and Abu Dhabi too. So globally, across the world and the United States somewhat. The mothership, though, is right here in Cleveland, Ohio. Cleveland Clinic actually has its own zip code. I kid you not. It is like a city within a city. It's definitely the most well-known brand outside of the Northeast Ohio region. Most well-known for cardiovascular care and individuals from all over the world to come to receive, heart treatment at the Cleveland Clinic. And individuals have come from all over the world to train and fellows, residents, attending physicians, you name it. It really brings a lot of people to Cleveland. It is truly world-class care. You see Cleveland Clinic everywhere. It's the Cleveland Clinic, Cleveland Guardians Radio Network. They have their banners. They're very proud of their top hospital ranking and whatnot. They display their banners throughout the region. So I will share, it's truly a world-class facility, and we couldn't be more fortunate to have it right in our backyard. You could probably throw a stone from the health education campus and hit Cleveland Clinic's main campus. That's how close we are. So again, very fortunate to have this hospital in our backyard. We also have the VA hospital. Cleveland actually has, I think, the 3rd or 4th largest VA hospital in the country, depending on who you talk to. I've heard number 3 and I've heard number 4, but it's one of the largest and most respected VA hospitals in the United States. Cleveland Clinic and the VA and UH, so far, you can see they're all very different. But the most unique thing about the VA is you're not perhaps having a lot of work with insurance companies. It's government-run healthcare. So it shows students, I think, and individuals healthcare through a different lens. I do recommend everyone does some kind of training or rotation at the VA if possible. I think it can really be invaluable to your learning experience. The VA hospital is about 5 to 6 blocks. It's about 2 blocks away from University Hospital, so very walkable and just off of Case's main campus. The last hospital I will talk about is Metro Health. This is the public safety net hospital. See a very diverse patient population at Metro Health. They also manage our Life Flight system. They have a Spanish-speaking clinic. They have a Pride clinic. There is even, this is really unique, a public high school, a Cleveland public high school that is physically located inside Metro Health. It might be the only hospital in the country with a high school inside the hospital. But those students have access to a lot of different just some preventative care services, also just exposure to like the medical field and healthcare field in general. And I would say the health of our community oftentimes wouldn't be what it is really without Metro Health. They open their doors to really almost anybody, whether you're insured or uninsured. You'll see a very diverse patient population at Metro Health as well. So again, Level 1 Trauma Center manages our Lifeline system. So you can see 4 very different hospitals where you can see a very diverse patient population. What makes Cleveland even more unique is, we're not the biggest maybe feedback that I receive a lot from students that are in their 3rd and 4th year is you're not maybe in a place like Boston or New York or LA where you have perhaps dozens or many different medical schools and many students as a result looking to train at, all these different or a limited number of locations or just these, several hospitals perhaps. Many times you can train where you would like at Case Western. We are one of the few allopathic med schools in the region, which gives you the opportunity to train where you would like, which is a pretty big draw to the city. And I think also nearly, or perhaps all, but I'll say nearly every specialty of medicine exists in Cleveland, Ohio. I think there's about 170 different specialties of medicine, give or take. I know at one time, all of those different specialties existed, but you get the idea. Really, any specialty of medicine you can really imagine is going to be in Cleveland amongst our 4 hospitals, which is unbelievable. So couldn't say enough great things about our teaching hospitals. And that is, I would say, the biggest draw to our institution and our medical education program, truly. Okay, so the hospitals. How do we structure the training? So you get into your 3rd year, right? You've taken step 1, and how are you going to structure the training? Well, you'll decide in your 2nd year of med school how you want to structure, but you have 3 different options. The first option is the most common. It's the traditional core rotation option. This means as a 3rd year student, you're going to do all your training at university hospitals, Metro Health Medical Center, or the VA. The Metro Health Medical Center, it's called the Glick Medical Center. They actually built recently a brand new campus in the fall of 22. So it's a brand new facility. And amongst these 3 hospitals, you'll have your core rotations here, and you'll also have the opportunities to complete electives and acting internships. We'll get to those in a little bit at the Cleveland Clinic. So you'll do all your core rotations at university hospitals, the VA, and Metro Health, with the option of doing your acting internships and electives at the Cleveland Clinic. Or you can do your acting internships and electives anywhere, but you can do them at Cleveland Clinic, perhaps, since you didn't perhaps train there yet at the time. That comes in your late 3rd year, 4th year. So that's the most common, all right? The second option students will choose, perhaps, is the Cleveland Clinic longitudinal clerkship. This means you do all of your rotations at the Cleveland Clinic. And it's 40 weeks. So every single training, just like they're all 40 weeks in length, 40 weeks of rotations, they're all going to be done at the Cleveland Clinic with the option of doing acting internships or electives at University Hospital, the VA, or Metro Health. All right. Now, this is just a sample schedule, much like the traditional core. They might not be in this order, but this is just a sample schedule of maybe what it will look like. Cleveland Clinic has about 40 to 50 students that train and select this clerkship every year. So there's 170 students in the MD university program, MD class, what you're all interviewing for. Roughly 40 to 50 will choose the Cleveland Clinic longitudinal clerkship. So not the majority. Most students are going to choose the traditional core. That's the most common. You'll see diverse patient populations, see healthcare through many different lenses, but a handful of students of that 170 will choose the Cleveland Clinic clerkship. I think it's just a matter of preference. I think there are truly pros and cons to both. It really just might depend on who you talk to. I think maybe some students prefer to do all their training at one hospital. They only have to learn one EMR system. I don't know. They also perhaps can network. They're at the same place consecutively. I think it really just depends on you, but I don't think there's really a better option. I think it's just really a matter of fit. So we have one other option that's relatively new, only a few years old, of how you can structure your training, and it's the Metro Health Longitudinal Clerkship. So this means you do all of your training at Metro Health Medical Center with the option of doing your acting internships at the Cleveland Clinic, university hospitals, and the VA. And again, you can keep doing those acting internships and electives at Metro if you would like, but again, those can be done anywhere. So again, over the course of 40 weeks, all the rotations are done at Metro. This is a very small clerkship. The past several years, we've only had about 3 to 5 participate. This year, I think we're up to 8, but it definitely is a smaller clerkship. They have never held a lottery for this particular clerkship. Even though it's very small, they haven't had a particular like lottery system for it. I can't say that will never happen in the future, but just because the demand has not really been there for really more than 8 students. It's been 3 up to 5 the past 3 years. This started in 2020. So I think some students, perhaps what leads to a student to choose the longitudinal clerkship at Cleveland Clinic, they have the Spanish speaking clinic. I know there are multiple students in the clerkship that speak fluent Spanish. I also think that perhaps I've heard from students, maybe a public safety net hospital, right? You're definitely working with a diverse patient population, but maybe patients that are a little underinsured or maybe completely uninsured. I think that's a setting maybe some students feel called to participate in, which is great. So that might lead to someone choosing the Metro clerkship. But just note that it is a very much a small clerkship and cohort of students that's selected every year. We ran a 2-year pilot prior to 2020, which we had 3 students participate. And for the first 2 years, there was only 3 students that participated. It's finally up to 5 as of last year, and then 8 just this past year. So still very, very small. And I know that they had no problem accommodating the additional like 3 students on top of the 5. So again, not saying that that will be that way forever. The demand could grow, but if history is any indication, that even though it's very small, it's not really limited in terms of the demand and whatnot. Okay, so that's a little bit how you structure the training in your 3rd year. Now we're going to get into the 4th year. So I'm going to start by saying in that 3rd year, yes, you are living in the hospital sometimes during that 40 weeks. The 4th year is a little bit slower of a pace. You do kind of get your life back, all right? You will have some dedicated time for step 2. You will take step 2. You'll also have the opportunity to participate in some electives as well as acting internships. An acting internship is more of like a situation where you're supervising and overseeing some of the works, quote unquote, of 3rd years. You're more, I'm not a resident yet, but I'm also done all the training required in my 3rd year. So it gives you an opportunity to just prepare for residency and kind of have some stuff that you're overseeing that is being done by students and whatnot. So you have to do 2 acting internships, one in internal medicine, one in pediatric surgery or inpatient family medicine, and the next one can be in a specialty of your choice. At least one of the acting internships must be completed at a Case Western hospital. And the electives, again, can also be done locally or away at any of our teaching hospitals here, or again, you have the option to do an away rotation as well. All students in their 4th year are required to complete a medical education elective. It's like a teaching elective, and there's a handful of opportunities even throughout the years in med school to fulfill these electives, but this can include facilitating an IQ team in your first 2 years, being an IQ facilitator. It can also just include another teaching experience in the curriculum in some way or some kind of curricular development. It's pretty flexible, but you are required to complete a teaching elective, 2 teaching electives before you officially graduate, which will be for you in May of 2029. All right, so you'll be required to complete a teaching elective. Also, the transition to residency. This is a relatively new program that prepares students for residency. So you'll look at teamwork, you'll look at leadership, you'll look at building those communication skills, you'll learn the skills to help you kind of begin residency, and you also have the opportunity to review all of your clinical skills. Here's everything I've learned and all the interactions I've had over the years with patients and perhaps a diverse individual patients. What can I do, from here now to get ready officially for residency? Because those are the next steps. And it's roughly 2 to 4 weeks, and every member typically of the class always participates. So March is match day, graduation is May, and you are a doctor after that. So the bulk of the fourth year, outside of everything I've discussed on this slide, is really preparing for residency. Now, some residency programs do interview in person, many are virtually, but you are also applying for residency. So that's going to look different depending on your specialty. But I always kind of joke, this whole process of applying to med school, you'll kind of do it in some ways all over again in 4 years. So I always say we look forward to that, right? But nonetheless, you are in residency application mode. The ERAS application for residency programs opens in September, and we are there to help you as you prepare for that, apply for that, and position yourself best for those next steps. So that's really the bulk of what the fourth year is going to be, with some of the other things discussed on this slide as well. So this is more highlighting the first 2 years of med school, but it's important because there'll be perhaps requirements in your third and fourth year for these. But we have dual degree programs, and we also have pathways. The dual degree programs are listed here, and then the pathways are listed here as well. I don't want to maybe describe each one, but I'll say one thing about dual degrees. They definitely are labor intensive. I don't want to steer anybody away from a dual degree, but I will share that, let's say you're participating in early research. Let's say you're participating in our musical extravaganza, our Case Doc Opera. You might not have a ton of time for a dual degree, just because you're taking really the bulk of the classes oftentimes during those first 2 years of med school and that self-directed learning time. Some of the dual degrees do have additional years, such as the MPH and the BME, et cetera, and the MBA. But the number of students that actually participate in dual degrees is pretty low. It's probably maybe 3 to 5% of the class. It varies by year, but it's not a large number. So dual degrees are great. It's a great way to add more creds to your name. But definitely know it's time consuming. You're already getting an MD. I think that's impressive enough. But again, the dual degrees are certainly an option, but just know they are pretty labor intensive. The pathways are much more popular. Roughly a third of our students, give or take, every year participate in a pathway, mostly a first 2 years of medical school kind of experience. Students can only choose one pathway. It's about a once a week experience. They are seminars, sometimes small groups that break into small groups within everybody in the pathway, that typically are on a weekly basis their first 2 years. Some of the pathways also require a scholarly project. And a lot of times, you don't have to go to all the meetings in years 3 and 4. Typically, it's just your first 2 years. But we also have a range of pathways. The addiction and medicine pathway is brand new as well as of last year. We also have like a medical education scholars pathway, like a academic medicine, teaching, all of that. It's one of the ways you can fulfill one of the 2 teaching electives. Climate and health, there's a wide range. So if you have a particular interest and you want to learn more about a topic, and a lot of individuals share that same interest, the pathways are definitely the way to go. It's almost like a minor or a certificate program at the undergrad or graduate level. I'll also share, they're not super selective. You'll have a orientation of the pathways in some aspect in block 1 when you first start med school, and that's when you can formally get information about the pathways. You got to apply, I think, by the end of anatomy boot camp after block 1 or the beginning of block 2. And you can apply to more than one pathway, but in the end, you can only choose one. Urban health, I know, has a cap on the pathway. The Kaufman World Medicine also has a cap. Sometimes they hit the cap, sometimes they don't. But really, outside of that, any pathway you want to participate in, you can. It's not really a super selective process for the pathways. But it is, again, a good line on your resume for next steps. All right, I can't speak highly enough of our curriculum team, and I can't share all that our curriculum has to offer without highlighting our curricular team. These individuals are fantastic. They have shaped our curriculum. They are all about process quality improvement. Many of them have been here many, many years, and we are so fortunate to have all of these individuals in terms of research and scholarship, like Dr. Hand, Dr. Roland Seymour, who's all about innovation, education enhancements. Our executive director of curricular affairs is Manu Darvish. She oversees a lot of the IQ in the first 2 years as well. And then Dr. Amy Wilson Delphos, I call her Dr. Amy, as do many of the students, is our dean of curriculum. And we have many individuals here that will play a vital role in your development and knowledge base as you proceed forward. I also can't talk about our curriculum without highlighting our academic society deans. They are all fantastic. I know each of these individuals very well, and their success is your success. I cannot, or your success is their success, excuse me. I can't speak highly enough about their ties to the Cleveland area, the connections they have in our community, and they are your individuals that are going to go to bat for you. It's almost like your academic advisor of med school. I need help identifying my specialty, help outside the classroom, applying to residency, the shoulders to lean on. We know life is going to happen while in med school, right? Your academic society deans are here to help you. So utilize these individuals. They are absolutely fantastic. And you'll be assigned one of these 6 individuals on your very first day of medical school. The last team I have to highlight is our DEI team. So a lot of team members here, and I promise you're going to meet all of these individuals, not on your interview day, but if you come to visit perhaps, which we'll talk more about too. And also if you end up enrolling in Case Western and are accepted, you will meet all these individuals. And I can't speak highly enough about each of them. This is our DEI team. We are an extremely inclusive environment. We are individuals who are very receptive to just feedback, making sure everyone's voices are heard, making sure our students are feeling like they're in an inclusive environment and listening to their feedback. We are all about student feedback, and I really can't speak highly enough about our DEI team. And again, these are all individuals that you'll get to meet at some point, if you do enroll and ultimately attend Case, and also on some visit opportunities in the future as well. But DEI is something I'm very passionate about. Our admissions team is very passionate about. You'll have some affinity groups that you'll have the option to meet with, being invited for an interview on Zoom, which we'll talk about. But many of the initiatives that we put forth in admissions in terms of just presenting our medical school is really all run, and many oftentimes through our DEI, and receiving their feedback and their blessing and just their overall knowledge to our institution. They bring a lot to the table. Okay, so enjoy the day, ask questions, and we look forward to meeting you. This is an exciting time. I know it's stressful. I know it's a little uncertain. I know it's maybe a little inhumane sometimes, but try to enjoy the journey as well. There's a lot of joy that comes with this and a lot of rewards. So we can't wait to meet you. We're excited to have you be a part of the interview day and look forward to seeing you soon. All right. Thanks so much, everybody, and have a great day.